Good afternoon, friends. I am Kumari Sunita. I have secured rank 269 this year in UPSC, and I'll be sharing the strategy for preparing optional paper, Political Science and International Relations. So the very first thing which I would like to share with you people is, I'm a person who had zero idea about pol science. I have no background with political science and neither with international relations, and before coming for the preparation of UPSC, I was not even a person who was good with GK or who used to go through newspapers on a daily basis. So the whole point is that even if you are starting at zero, it is very much possible. This year I was I started with very basics again, like I talked about in my previous video. NCERTs are very basic. Even for pol science, one needs to start with the NCERTs to have a good grasp of what the subject matter is about. Now, for UPSC, one particular thing which I noted is that you need to be very much thorough with the syllabus. If possible, paste the syllabus on one of the walls of your room like we do for the maps. The same way I had this detailed syllabus of pol science with me, and I used to go topic wise. I joined my optional coaching with Piyush Chaubey sir in GSS core, and that was without any research so far. I just joined and I came for the classes, and from the classes itself I can say I started with the very basics. But yeah, due to ill health and typhoid, I could not do my paper 1 at all, and then it was paper 2 for which I did search classes, and I can say that it paid me off really well. I gave the mains test series, and that time it was a very strict evaluation on his side, which was really encouraging me to score nicely. Whenever I used to see my copies, I used to really go through details that what mistakes I have done, and then I used to try to improve on them. And I'm a person who is very much questioning. I used to ask the teachers, कि sir क्या गलती है? How can I improve? What are the things I can add on? What did I left? Now I used to make points for all these things, that for this particular topic, these are the particular thinkers. For pol science, particularly for paper 2 and paper 1 also, we need to go through after going through all the topics, if we really want something which is to take us from 250, like above 250, we need to add the names of thinkers, what they said, and what are the different things they quoted. Now this also was, like, I can say that the total guidance was provided to me, but then yes, I had to put a lot of efforts, because for pol science especially, when we see, we are very much scared that there are people who have done their masters from pol science, who have done their bachelors from pol science, and we are starting from zero. So how are we going to compete with that crowd? But believe me, it's very much possible. Again, we just need to go very systematically. There are some basic books which I followed and which I think are necessary for preparing for getting good marks, actually, I can say. Like we can go for paper 1. There is OP Goba, which is important for the first portion of the syllabus. Then for political thinkers also one can go through. There are many books available, but I particularly didn't follow any book for the thinkers, political thinkers. It was again the notes which I got from my optional classes which I followed. Then for the governance, the IGP, Indian governance and polity part, for that it was the same Lakshmikant and DD Basu I had followed, but then as was advised to me, I used to make notes from the newspaper for certain constitutional commentaries. For example, whenever there is an article by Upendra Bakshi or by Pratap Bhanu Mehta, I used to make a note what these people are saying about these topics, so that I can reproduce them in my answers if at all asked in the exam. Now for paper 2, again, I read certain portions from Andrew Haywood, Baylis Smith. Now all these books' name are very easy to find on internet. There are many toppers who have advised a certain list of books. Again, I'll tell the name of the same books. So let's not go into that. What I would like to tell here is that how being a person who did not know pol science, I could get a score which is decent enough. So what I used to do is that after when I was very much again regular with my test series, and I started preparing pol science full time only after I wrote my pre. Before that I had just done the classes. Like people put in 3-4 hours the whole year before preparing before appearing for the exams to their optional papers. I'll be a little blunt here to tell that I didn't do that. I was going through GS, I used to read the newspapers, I was conversant with the syllabus, but then I was not giving any dedicated time to pol science. But after mains, I gave my total 45 days dedicatedly to pol science. I read the books in and out, I read my notes, I kept on revising them, and one thing which was very beneficial was the test series which I joined here by Mr. Again Piyush Chaube only. The questions which used to come in the test series, they were covering a large section of the syllabus. It was not, they were not very much narrow jotted down. So even if I was leaving any topics while my preparation, whenever I used to come for the test series, it used to hit me that this particular question I couldn't do. So that means something is left. So I used to go back, I used to read that particular topic again, and then I used to write the answer again, that if at all I would have attempted this question, then how would I have? So that reduced the knowledge gap, that reduced the thing which I didn't do for last 1 year, not giving 3-4 hours to my optional paper every day. So if one is giving 3-4 hours a day to their optional paper, I think that's enough for the exams, but then I particularly didn't do that. So I was very much again the answers, the model answers which were provided for the test series, I used to read them again very systematically, and I used to highlight them, and even for my mains examination there I took those particular test series answers, because the questions were prepared in such a manner that there were no important topics which were left behind. So getting a book, the time period between prelims and mains is very less. So if one wants that the 7-8 books which we read for making our base, we will again revise that again and again, that is not possible. That is not a feasible strategy actually, and this exam demands a strategy. You are supposed to take risks, it checks your risks appetite as well. But then yes, it was not at all risky, I can say, because the topics were well covered, and I still remember when I got my paper, when paper 1 pol science in exam as well as paper 2, there were questions which were directly repeated from the test series as it is. And I was very happy. That gave me again immense confidence that I know this particular answer. I know particular authors who have written. In that answers there were many authors which were mentioned, that this particular person, this political scientist has said this, and that political scientist has said this. Now that helps in boosting up the marks. So what I can say is that we need to, like anybody needs to go through the basic books of pol science, which is again available on the internet, but then there needs to be a strategy. If you want to compete with someone who already has too much of knowledge of the subject, it's not only hard work which is going to work, it is also smart work. You need to work smartly. You're supposed to use your resources in such a way that we can gather maximum out of it. Now before going to the examination hall, it's not possible that I can, within 1 day I can revise all the books. So what I did was, I took all the model answers, I started revising it topic wise, and then whatever topics I felt are important, whatever portions are important, I made a note of them, and the same I did in the break which I got before GS paper 2. So that was it which I did. But again, for paper 2, international relations, current affairs, like one needs to be very much updated with the current affairs. The questions which are set are really logical. It's not that UPSC sets it from any place. If one is aware what is happening around us, where did our Prime Minister visit, which all countries he went, what were the pacts signed, what were the groups we got entry into. if one is making note of everything, then it becomes very easy to choose 3 questions out of all which is given. So what I'll say is that it's not really impossible to prepare a subject which you have no knowledge of, but then if you are really interested for the subject, no matter one has done a master's or graduation in the subject, for this particular exam you can really beat them at their own game by having a simple particular strategy. Thank you.